Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Fatback 4 podcast. There's only three of us, but you know how it works. Myself, Keith, and Grizz are here tonight, and we're going to be having a little look at those players that were linked with Anfield and didn't turn up, and we were gutted, and then the ones that didn't turn up, and thank God for that, Henrik Mkhitaryan. This show isn't brought to you by anybody tonight because we don't have a sponsor for the Fatback 4 podcast because everybody's afraid to sponsor it because we say stuff we shouldn't probably say. But if you want to sponsor, get in contact with Andy. He'll look after you. Lads, tonight it's going to be a good one, I think. There's loads of names swashing around the place. Me and Grizz were saying, will it be Premier League only? And just to let you know, Keith threw an absolute wobbler because he couldn't go back to the 80s because he is basically Marty McFly. If you want to, but before we get into all that, if you want to find us on YouTube, on Periscope, on Apple Podcasts, all the stuff, Hotmic, everything is in the description below on YouTube. Just go to the description below and you'll find every way to get us, contact us, follow us, share, all that sort of stuff. Spotify, everything is there. Go and do it. Okay. Keith, I'm going to come to you first. I've given you a bit of a hard time at the start there, but I feel it's needed because you got way too upset over a certain player. But we're going to start with goalkeepers, am I right?
Keith's frozen, man.
Keith's frozen. He looks great, doesn't he? He's gone. Right. Jeez, I was only messing with him. There's no need for him to jump off the screen.
He probably got serious there, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I think he did. I think he got a bit upset. There's loads of names coming in, right? Keith's back. We will go to him in a minute. But there's loads of names coming in. Lee Bowyer, Simeo, Conor Plianka, Keith. Oh, jeez, look at this. Chris Brack says Keith wanted Michael Laudrup chat. That's exactly who he was giving out about. It's 100%. Unbelievable. Mick shouts Van der Sar. Look, there's loads of stuff there, but we're going to start with goalkeepers, all right? I have done no homework on this. All I have in my head is Henrik Mkhitaryan, but I'm sure I'll catch up as we go along. So, Keith, what we're going to do is, and Grizz, what we're going to do is, we're going to go through all these names of players that we missed out and we are gutted, right? And they turned out to be fantastic players. Then we're going to have some that we missed out, we are gutted, and they turned out to be shit, all right? And at the end of it, we're going to pick an 11 out of all these players, but you must have 3 that you were gutted over and they turned out to be brutal. You can have 8 that you were gutted about and they turned out to be great, okay? They're the rules for the lads. Right, Keith, goalkeepers, hit me with one. And we can go through, listen, there might be 3 goalkeepers, there might be 7, we don't know. But Keith, go.
Right, well, with goalkeepers, myself and Grizz were discussing this one. We were linked with it at the same time as Alisson, and it's Jan Oblak. And I'm seeing a couple of names getting thrown in there. Van der Sar, Michael, great goalies, but you'd be hard pushed to go beyond Jan Oblak for me. Grizz, what are you thinking?
Oh, man. I'm thinking exactly the same. There was only... I mean, Alisson, if you remember, he wasn't a worldwide name. I don't think he was on the tip of everyone's tongue as the next Liverpool keeper, but definitely the rumours about Oblak got everyone excited. I mean, everyone knew about Oblak. I mean, I still think he rivals him as the best goalkeeper in the world. I couldn't choose between them. I mean, the fact that Alisson fits into our system so brilliantly, makes Alisson the best keeper in the world for us. But yeah, I'm with you. Oblak, by far, that I can remember, is the best name that was linked with us in recent times. I mean, we've had so many, haven't we? We've had the falling grace from Joe Hart was amazing to see. I mean, England's number 1, and then suddenly absolute, dog food. But but there were still fans that wanted him, Keith. That was an amazing thing. Yeah. I don't know what it was based on, but a lot of people did want Joe Hart, or a lot of people wanted the next Joe Hart, which was claimed to be Jack Butland. So discuss Jack Butland, maybe.
I mean, there's 2 English keepers that get overhyped, as as happens, the English media will jump on a keeper as little arms over at Everton is the latest one.
Oh.
You know, it's a mad situation. You know, the English get a keeper, and they went from a period in the early 90s where they had great keepers. You know, they had Seaman, they had Tim Flowers, they had Nigel Martin, you know, really, really great keepers. And then you were getting your your fucking, what's his name, Joe Hart, and your Jack Butlins of this world. You know, the drop off was something terrible, but we always seem to get linked with them, you know, and it's a sore one when you look at some of the shy keepers we've had. You know, someone mentioned, I think it was Chris mentioned the likes of Schmeichel back there. Now that's going back to way at the start of the Premier League era, maybe before that, and we got David James instead. And if you remember back then, David James was very highly rated. Like, he was hugely rated.
He was number
and
one.
Just turned out to be a bit of a dud. You know?
Mad. No, he was just mad. I mean, I know, and everyone says goalkeepers are mad. But David James was an absolute phenomenal talent when we signed him. We paid a good fee for him.
Yeah.
We
I
think it was
over $1 million or something from Watford.
Yeah, which was a brilliant fee for a keeper. And he looked like the best keeper in the world. He looked unbeatable. I mean, an absolute specimen, absolute beast of a human being. Yeah. You know, big, tall, wide, such an amazing shot stopper. But he had these mad, you know, unprecedented sort of errors in him that you just can't cater for. He was absolutely mad. He would just come flying out when there's no need at all, or there'll be a cross in the box and sort of he'll just drop it at the striker's feet. So, you know, unfortunately, all the keepers we've had in sort of since going through the 90s and the 2000s have been just, there's been some talent in those keepers, but are just so error, you know, there's so many errors between them as well. There's never been no calmness. No. The Euro of Alisson is just, I mean, Dudek had that calmness, but he wasn't as good, if you know what I mean. Do you remember Dudek? He was quite calm and he was quite good, but he wasn't.
He dropped the bollock against Diego Forlan, and that done for him, you know what I mean?
Mentally,
and that
he was gone. Yeah. So, you know, we've had our fair share of good English keepers as well, potentially. Like, do you remember the Kirkland signing? I mean, that was supposed to be, you know, that was supposed to be a good signing.
Yeah, good.
Well, he signed both of them at the same time, didn't he?
At the same time,
same day, wasn't
it?
Which
was strange. Which was different.
Well, that was around. Wasn't that around the time that Westerveld was? I always remember being in the Canary Islands, right? Just going off on a tangent. I always remember being in the Canary Islands, played the Ingles 2001.
Ingles 2001.
Absolutely right. Absolute mental shop. But I always remember being there, and I'm nearly sure Westerveld makes a bollocks of 2 goals against Bolton, and Dean Holdsworth scores 2, and we get beaten. And I always remember thinking, that's the end of him. And don't we go out and sign? We signed Dudek and Kirkland at the same time.
Yeah.
He does. I mean,
both announced together.
But that shows you that was quite different at the time. I think, was it Houllier? Was it Houllier?
Sorry, yeah.
It was Houllier, It was Houllier, wasn't it? And it was quite different. You don't often hear about 2 goalkeepers being signed on the same day, but it just shows you how mad and how fed up and how he was about those goalkeepers. Do you know what I mean? Sander Westerveld. I personally wasn't a Westerveld fan. I know it coincided.
I was, because he tried to punch Franny Jeffers in the mouth.
Yeah, even that he fucked up. Even that, you know, I mean, he missed, and it kind of just hit his neck, and you know, it looked like Franny Jeffers
still got a red.
Even though he was 2 foot bigger than him, you know, he cocked that one up as well. So Westerveld was one of those keepers that really thought he's better than he is, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just love the smell of his own shite, that fella.
Just like Carriers.
He still does, I'd say.
Carriers,
yeah.
But yeah, very similar to the modern day Carriers, I'd say. But
there's a lot of mention here. Well, there was. You know, people are just talking about the goalkeepers in general. You know, the CD fan says that Downey fella was awful. Chris Brack reckons that Westerveld was a lucky goalkeeper. Adam Petruccione says, be honest, Bogdan was the best of them. Jesus. But not so much players that did sign for us. It's more players that didn't. And a couple of people earlier on in the chat mentioned Van der Sar. And Mick says Van der Sar would have transformed our team at the time. Somebody else mentioned this would have been around 1999. I don't remember this one.
This would have been, Van der Sar was heavily linked after Ajax, wasn't he? And it would have been an absolute storming signing if he got him, because I suppose the
and did he go?
He
went to Did he go to? Where did he go?
And he signed for Juventus.
He went to Ajax. He went to Juventus, and then he ended up at Fulham, didn't he? And then United. Yeah. So, but no, I just think I can't remember the Van der Sar thing.
I can't remember him as well. Okay, if a few can remember him, then obviously it counts as one that got away.
If it was the summer of 2001, I was in the Canaries and I wasn't in the best of state, so it probably passed me by.
He signed for Juve in '99, so it was obviously he was leaving Ajax, and so there would have been links then, because you know how the transfer game works. You know, even if there's no connection to Liverpool, he'll be linked to Liverpool. So there you go. That just goes to show that the timeline ties up. You know what I mean? So Van der Sar would have been a great signing.
Stevie asked, "How did Fulham get him? Was it Al Fayed was in charge at the time? Throwing loads of money around?
They would have had loads of dough.
Absolutely fired. Yeah, that's not. That's
so,
not.
And they would have signed. They Buffon, would they probably? So would have ran him out of Juventus.
Yeah, so lads, if you were to pick one goalkeeper, and remember you have to keep 3 slots clear for people that were terrible, what one would you go with?
I think this is quite straightforward. I think we'd both agree that Oblak is the one.
The only contender would be Van der Sar, wouldn't it? But I'm happy with Oblak.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the links to Van der Sar. I can't remember. I wasn't in the Canary Islands back then, so I should remember, but no.
This was 99. This was before the Canaries.
Yeah, fair. Gav was still in the Canaries.
The only thing I'd say about Van der Sar,
I was staying at home. I was saving up for the Canaries.
Pay 50 quid a week off a budget travel or whatever it was.
Yeah.
The only thing I'd say about Van der Sar in 99, right, is that literally would have transformed us, whereas Oblak wouldn't have made a difference because we signed Alisson. So I don't know if there's, we signed Van der Sar in 99. We don't get Westerveld. We don't go through shoots that we did have. So I don't know. I'll go with Oblak because he is great.
CD fan says, didn't we try and sign Oliver Kahn? Did we?
Don't remember.
I can't remember that either.
We tried to sign everyone, and
I'm just wondering.
Sign, we got linked to them.
I'm just wondering.
Is available.
I'm just wondering.
If a few people have said Van der Sar, and I don't know, I haven't got the comments in front of me, but if a few people have got a recollection, Chris said it in his interview about his career, then I'm willing to go with Van der Sar, because Keith makes a great point about. I don't know. I still think actually Oblak is.
Keith, he doesn't know what you made a great point about.
Yeah, it was a great point. It was a great point.
Whatever his point was, it was great.
But it was a good point, and my point was that if he'd have signed Van der Sar in 99, it transforms us more than signing Oblak in.
Yeah, Stephen O'Connor says there, no regrets. Oblak is boss, but we made the right decision with regards to Alisson. So I think.
No Van der Sar.
Yeah, in that case. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Okay, Van der Sar. Okay, loads of people in the chat. Absolutely loads of people. It's brilliant. Michael Laudrup is getting another mention. Yeah. Hang on to your hats, because when it gets to
is my boy.
When it gets to attacking players, Keith's gonna give us a 30-minute PowerPoint presentation on Michael Laudrup by the sounds of it. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like button. It's very, very important, apparently. Do not be putting in super chats and paying for comments. That happened the other night. It was outrageous. It's not something we do. Others do that. For why you'd pay anybody to put a comment on YouTube is beyond me. But please do not do that. Do not put money in for comments. Put them in there and you'll get them anyway. If you're watching on Periscope, thanks a million. Continue watching there if you want. But please do consider coming over and subscribing to us on YouTube. For the simple reason is you will get more on YouTube than you will on Periscope going forward. Okay. Right. So right back. And Chris Brack shouts an opening gambit and he says right back is easy. It's Danny Alves.
Molly backs that up as well.
Molly backs it up as well. He does. Molly backs it up. Molly being a rebel, watching on Periscope instead of watching on YouTube. But we let him away with this once. Grizz, Dani Alves. It looked from anything I've read, it looked like Benitez at the time had a deal in place with Dani Alves, and then it just didn't happen. That's a sickener if that's the case.
That's an absolute sickener, isn't it? And that shows you the class and sort of the eye Benitez from a very, very early time had for defenders. I mean, let's not beat around the bush. In my opinion, I don't think he had the best eye for attackers or creative players. Saying that, there's a couple that I can think and remember that we were linked with, but we'd probably get into that position. But Dani Alves was in the mold of Cafu, the original mold of Cafu, the original attacking right back. And what the guy's gone on to win since is just unreal. I mean, Keith's probably got it all in his head or written down somewhere how much he's won and what he's won. But the guy was phenomenal. Can you imagine? You haven't known.
Dani Alves is still playing now. Dani Alves is still playing now, and he's playing as a winger for Sao Paulo or wherever it is that he plays. Like he's not a fullback.
Well, he's been playing in midfield. He's been playing in midfield now. Yeah. Unbelievable. Shows you the talent of the guy. Dani Alves was that guy. It's the vision of Benitez. It just shows you the vision of Benitez, where how successful he would have been at Liverpool. We can't say for certain, but he definitely, I think, comes under. In my opinion, I can't think of anyone as glamorous or as celebrated as him that was linked with us in for that right back position. Hit me if you can think of any.
I was trying to list a few players and I couldn't think of many right backs that we were linked with. And yeah, for me it was Dani Alves all the way. You know what I mean?
I remember being linked with
Stockings in here, but I don't think the right back is where we can stick them.
No, you could have went with Luke. Was he Luke Young that played with Charlton and ended up in Spurs?
Luke Young, yeah.
Yeah, he was massively linked with us, and it didn't happen in the end. And thank God, that could have been your stocking if you wanted. But Dani Alves, geez, the career he went on to have is outrageous.
Well, I tell you why we weren't linked with so many right backs, and I'll tell you why we can't think of many gooses is because we had, oh God. Things frozen again, and he's giving me.
Yeah, he's okay. He's back.
He's all right. The reason why we weren't linked with many right backs is because we've had some very good right backs. It's the other fullback area that we've struggled in recent times. The likes of Finn and Marcus Babbel. We've had some. Even Glenn Johnson. Okay, Glenn Johnson. Near the end was an absolute goose, but we've had some very decent, strong fullbacks even in the end. Below it. Do you know what I mean? So therefore, that's why there's not that many that we linked with that sort of,
Rafa loved the right back, didn't he? Rafa loved right backs. He played and stocked up on Kron, but he got a lot of the shit ones in, didn't he? Kron can't be awesome me.
Yeah, I guess we got some. I guess we got some through some as well. Some gooses as well. Now that you reminded me, but they weren't as terrible as sort of as the other area, as the other fullback area for me.
Camp wasn't even a footballer. He was a fucking long jumper or something.
Harsh.
He was awful. Recently, he came on in the FA Cup final for Xabi Alonso.
Yeah, he done a job.
Awful.
Someone just remembers. Oh, it's Chris Bratton remembers the great Rob Jones, and I mean the great Rob Jones, because I genuinely believe. If it wasn't for his injuries, that guy would have been one of the best fullbacks.
If it wasn't for his injuries, Gary Neville wouldn't have had an England career.
I think that's a fair shout. I mean, Rob Jones was genuinely great.
Grizz, did you just rub your ear with a sachet of mayonnaise?
No. Is that just
it's a pen. Oh, it looked like one of those sachets of mayonnaise.
No, that's getting a bit too far, Gav. Come on.
Just putting a ball in your ear for later. So, lads, there's not that many right backs, but
no.
Dani Alves walks it, doesn't he?
Dani Alves does, yeah. He goes in. I'm just trying to think of donkeys, you know what I mean? And there's none. Dani Alves, number 2, get in there, you little rooster. Every day of the week.
Okay, we'll go to left back next. And obviously, keep in mind players that we didn't get and you're gutted, and players that we didn't get, and thank God for that. So, Keith, I'll come to you
Mikel
first.
Silvestre.
Mikel Silvestre. Okay, straight in.
Shy.
Yeah, but shite. Okay,
Shy.
controversial.
Shy.
I'm a little bit with Keith on this. I'll throw Patrice Evra in as well.
Shy. Yeah, shy.
Ooh, okay. Now, Mikel Silvestre, I agree. I think he was absolute rubbish. He was so solid as a fullback. I mean, I hate my fullbacks being so sort of... Do you know what I mean by solid? Like flat-footed.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't very cultured on the ball. I mean, again, one-on-one, he was pretty good. But put him past the halfway line, you know, he didn't have a clue, bless him.
See, Gabriel Heinze is getting thrown out here. I love Gabriel Heinze. I want Gabriel Heinze in a centre-back, to be honest. So... I'd happily sacrifice left back as a stock and a shy to get Gabriel Heinze into centre back.
Yeah,
Really?
I love Heinze.
There's a couple of shouts here for Chilwell as well, who was linked from Leicester before
Heavily
we
with
signed.
Rodgers, was it?
Yeah, before. And no, it was under Klopp.
I think it was Rodgers.
It was under Klopp before he signed Andy Robertson in the summer of 2000.
It was at the same time. Yeah, it was one of the options. Yeah,
the summer of 2017.
But he's a link, basically. There's a very strong link there with Chilwell.
But Patrice Evra was heavily linked as well.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, that's
Patrice Evra was heavily linked and ended up signing for United.
We can't. Are you gonna put sort of Patrice Evra in the stockings?
Oh no, Patrice Evra was a brilliant left back.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm just saying. You know,
he's an arsehole, but he's a brilliant left back.
Just for our hatred, I'm saying, just for our hatred purposes, you know. But I guess if we're looking for one that got away, then it's surely. Evra or Heinze, but you don't want to put Heinze as a left back.
I'll put Heinze as a left back. We have to get three bleeding. We have to get three bums in here as well.
Well, bums is Silvestre's a bum.
Shiny Lawson's absolutely lashing it in here for you lads.
Left backs, we had absolute rakes of them that we were linked.
Rodriguez from Wolves.
We were linked with the Rodriguez every season until he went to AC Milan, and Liverpool fans realised his pants. He's absolute crap.
Jonas Hector is a player I would take now, to be honest. He turned us down because he didn't want to move away from Cologne. Great player.
Was it Schalke he was with?
Jonas Hector, now Cologne, and he got relegated instead with them. Yeah, he's still there. He wouldn't move away from them.
Yeah, but he's playing in central midfield now.
He probably lives near his man.
Midfield. Yeah, well, that's
he probably lives near his man. He's happy.
Mrs. Hector.
He's been playing in midfield for a little while now, so you know. And I'm not overly fussed that we got away with him. I don't really rate. Jonas Hector was one of those. You know, he was too slow for the Premiership, in my opinion.
Bit of a hipster choice.
No, I tell you who he's like.
Big bit of height about him. He's about 6'2".
I tell you, and you're gonna love this shout, Keith, because you're a real football man. He would have been exactly like Alonso of Chelsea, exactly in that mold.
Yeah,
it's very good shout because he's a similar build as well.
Yeah, very good on the ball, but just slow. It looks slow and cumbersome. Speedy wingers could have got him. You know, he hasn't got that bite like Robertson's got a bite in him. Do you know what I mean?
I think Heinze is a better centre half than he is a left back. So I'd agree with you trying to get him in there. And
really, I think there's loads of centre backs that we can throw in that could have been linked with us. We could do that as a two. I mean, is there any
going back a few years? Is there any left backs for you that we were linked with and you thought, oh yeah, he's good, and then we didn't get him, and then he turned out to be appalling?
Well, I'd put Rodriguez in that.
Ryan Bertrand.
I like Ryan Bertrand.
I just threw it out there as a little.
I'd have him today. I'd have him tomorrow as our backup left back.
What's the chat saying? Any names in the chat?
Kolasinac.
Brilliant name. Yeah, linked with him for years.
Put him in the group.
I didn't want to give Dylan O'Rourke. I didn't want to give Dylan O'Rourke the credit for that because he's watching on Periscope, and you know, I don't know, but I'll give it to him. I
think that's a fantastic one. Yeah,
he's
biggest goose ever.
Dylan is on 2 strikes now for the YouTube train. We're only messing. We're not going to stop you watching anywhere. We're just messing. Let me see. Was Jaap Stam linked to us as Stevie? We'll have to wait until we get centre halves. We are linked to John Terry, says Chris back, when he was wrangling over a contract at Chelsea. Well past his best. Oh, this is recently. I'm trying to think of left backs.
Lucas Neal was shy.
Oh, Lucas Neal was appalling.
Blackburn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
broke Jamie. Well, who's he? Who did he break? Jibril Cisse's leg, didn't he?
Wanker.
Did he break
Stephen
Cisse?
Mack.
He broke someone's leg.
Stephen Mack says, all caps, Gav, lad. Ban me if you want. I'd never ban you, man. You're just an absolute head case, and I like you. Kieran Tierney says, Thomas Maloney. Were we linked with Kieran? Ben Davis by Shawnee Lawson is a good show.
Yeah.
And he's poor. Let's be honest about it. He's just poor. Let me see. Dylan, straight back in on YouTube. He says, morning lads, Neve changed over while Dylan was driving for an Apache. So he's blaming on his girlfriend that he was on Periscope rather than YouTube, which is fair enough. So lads, left back, you're gonna go with a good one, I think, again, are you?
What do you think, Grizz?
Good one. It comes down to it's got to be Evra. It's got to be Evra.
I wouldn't want him in my team. No.
I thought you might not. See, that's what I meant, Gav. I think Keith. Yeah, still hold. Then Chilwell has got to be. You got to say he's a fantastic turn. It's turned into a fantastic fullback. The top clubs, big clubs, do want him. Otherwise, it's Gabriel Hines. For me, I thought he's a fantastic left back, tenacious, good going forward. I don't know how you think he's a better centre half. That's just my opinion.
I do think he's a better centre half because I don't think he has the pace to play a fullback. That would be my opinion on Gabriel Hines.
He wasn't slow.
I'm surprised no one's mentioned Luke Shaw.
Great shout.
Poor Luke Shaw.
Goes in the stock.
Imagine.
Great shout for the stockings.
Yeah.
Imagine poor old Luke Shaw if Klopp had got a hold of him. Oh.
He wouldn't have lasted. He wouldn't
have been 23 stone.
He'd have been up on the old mezzanine there, watching the lads with Adam Bogdan. He would have been having a salad with Adam Bogdan, watching the real footballers play football. Listen, we're gonna go. Who are you going with?
Who are we going?
I think you should stick a stocking in there. To be honest with you, get you one out of the way.
I'm thinking of Lucas Neal throwing in a pony here and just getting rid of.
We're not picking the best. We
have to put three. We have to get three shits in here.
Well, then get the shit one in the left back because we've had some shit left back. So get the shit one out of the way. Then good shout.
Okay,
Lucas Neal.
Okay, I'm going to start us off at centre half, and the opening bid is from Shawnee Lawson, and it's Phil Jones. And I don't think
I have him on my list.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
I think I can rival that in terms of shitness and so hyped. But it was just a certain hipster section of the fan base that wanted him, and probably some still want him. The name of Jonathan Tah.
So I think Shawnee had that in there as well. Look, he did. He had Jonathan Tah in as well.
So Jonathan Tah.
I wouldn't. If that's Sean, I'm not doubting Shawnee with the spelling of Jonathan Tah there. JOHNATHON. If that's the way he's spelling John,
it's without the H.
Oh, but if that's the way he's spelling it, I don't think we should sign him on them grounds alone.
But no, Gav.
Was Mustafi linked? Chris Pross, one of the Periscope Ultras, he says was Mustafi linked to us?
I can't remember the link to Mustafi. I mean, he was German, coming from it would have been under the Klopp, start of Klopp's management. So there could have been a link there. I can't remember it myself.
And Dicko says Ashley Williams was definitely linked.
Williams was definitely linked.
And he's appalling.
Yeah. Well, appalling, Gav, or just okay, good, solid Premiership.
Ashley Williams.
Ashley Williams.
Would you stop it, Chris?
He done a right job for Swansea. Come on. For Swansea levels.
One there for Steve. He's Swansea levels there. You've just said it.
That's fair enough. It's Premier League levels.
Stevie says Hummels as a good one. I think that's a very good show. I think it's a really good
show. I've just gone to the comments and I've learned how to do this. Right. Ash McCall.
You've learned how to do it. It's on the screen. You just read it.
You got to learn.
Okay.
Right. Ash McCall says we linked to Company before he went to City. Very true. We were linked. We liked Company a lot. I do remember that. This was before my ITK days, but I still remember as a fan, as a normal, as a normal fan. I remember.
Yeah. David Lennon, another Periscope Ultra, says he's still on in Periscope and he's not giving in. I think it could lead to a dirty protest here from David Lennon. I'm going to be honest with you, but we'll see how it goes.
We were linked with the Burnley one, James Tarkowski, very strongly.
That's
a couple of seasons
there.
Back.
Stephen O'Connor says,
but he's okay. He's okay. He's not.
Jamal Lascelles.
Yeah, That's a nasty shout. I don't rate the kid at all. I know Gav does, but I don't.
I think he's a player that I think he get better in the better sides he plays in.
There was a centre back that we were always linked with.
Simon Kjær, the Danish fella.
Yeah, he was a good player. Always linked with him.
He's still playing.
Did anyone mention Papadopoulos?
Yep.
No, I don't think anyone mentioned Papadopoulos. They mentioned when you went for your fourth break there, Keith. They mentioned Mustafi.
Yeah. Were we ever linked with Mustafi? Keith, do you remember last being linked with Mustafi?
I think we would have been. Yeah.
Philippe Mexes. That's a great show.
Absolutely. He's the one we were linked with every season under Rafa. Philippe Mexes. And nothing ever came of it. So
Mexes is a proper show.
But Mexes was a bit of a journeyman. He was playing for loads of clubs. Same with Simon Kjær as well. Simon Kjær.
Yeah, Shawnee says Kjær was Kjær, whatever way you say it.
Was
he said he was always linked.
But he's had about 15 clubs.
That Philippe Mexes reminds me of the modern day David Luiz. I mean, he looked fantastic.
Great show, actually,
right? He thought he was a proper footballing centre half, and you see some of his goals, and you think to yourself, this guy should be playing somewhere else on the pitch. I think he scored one of the goals of the century. Does anyone remember?
The overhead kick.
Yeah. Sensational, but an awful defender.
Yeah.
We would be out of position so many times. A proper David Luiz for me. But I mean, I don't know what we're going for here. Are we going for two stunners? Because I think we were linked with.
Well, Molly's saying he's nearly sure we were linked with Varane.
We were linked with Varane, 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
Were we?
Yes, we were.
Yeah,
so we were linked with him late in last season or the year before as well.
Yeah, we were linked with Varane. So I mean, great shout by Mick here. Taribo West, we were linked with him as well, very strongly.
He was fucking brilliant, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Mick reckons he was great.
Nah. Taribo West was 48 and he claimed he was 23. Nah.
Yeah.
Taribo West died of old age 10 years ago, for fuck's sake.
I'd say Taribo West was very good in a 3. In a part of 3, he was a very good
3 on the bench.
Oh shit, he doesn't like him. All right,
doesn't like him.
Keeps giving out.
Just give it up, Grizz. Say no.
Move on.
Right, so lads.
Well,
Heinze is there, obviously. But there's a great mix of centre halves that are brilliant there. Like Wacker says, I'm sorry, I'd say that name, Grizz. It's up on the screen there. Can you say that name for me?
Wacker Hussein.
Oh,
no, what's that man's name?
Yeah, Wacker
is it just
Hussein.
Wacker Hussein? That's all right. Because in Ireland we just say Wacker, and it's. I just didn't want to say it wrong.
That's still correct. No, that's still correct.
Cool. Wacker, sound.
Hey, let's just quick on. Wasn't Taribo West seen in Collins Garden a week back?
Taribo West was seen where? Whose garden?
Yeah.
In Cole's Garden.
Milvalone.
No? Okay. Sorry, I must have got it
Having a clue what's going on.
Taribo West. I don't think it was the actual one.
Molly with a late show for Vidic.
Yeah, brilliant shout from Molly. Yeah. Vidic was linked before he went to United with us. In fact, it was Vidic had literally came down to it was United or us, and the punk chose United. Do you know what I mean?
Well, the same was with Silvestre.
We basically with Vidic we went for Daniel Agger instead, and it was exactly the same time. It was sort of Agger or Vidic, and we went with Agger. So there you go. Bit of nostalgia before.
Off-topic question from David Lennon. I shouldn't be reading this out because he's on Periscope, but anyway, which centre back scored a hat-trick of free kicks? Can you remember?
Yes, that's Sinisa Mihajlovic.
Good show.
Sinisa Mihajlovic. Can't think of another centre back who'd be banging them in.
I can't think. Well, apart from Louis, Louise hasn't scored 3 though.
Okay.
No, I can't think, but Mihajlovic.
Matthew Upson there, great show.
David Lennon says, yeah, you're right. Sinisa Mihajlovic, it looks like he's right.
Sinisa Mihajlovic is the free kick goal scoring record in Serie A, or was only recently broken.
Have you seen the video he made recently?
Matthew Upson.
Yep, Matthew Upson's a great shout.
Throw it in there, David Lennon. Because we got that question right, you should really be on YouTube, shouldn't you? I think I think we've taken the upper hand in this.
I think
in this battle to the death. Koeman Koeman wasn't linked with us.
When, yeah.
Back in the day, maybe. Back in the day.
Controversial.
Right, okay. Right, lads, you're going to have to pick two
Right.
centre halves. You've got a great mix there of crap and brilliant. You can
What do you
decide what way you
think,
want to
Duncan?
go.
Shall we do one each then? What do you think, Keith? I don't know. It's up to you. Or we're gonna. That's gonna be two of our gooses.
Yeah.
But that's
in
what I'm
that
saying. If
back
you can get
four.
one
Let's-
each in there, you can probably put one in mid. You're going to have 3 midfielders and 3 attackers.
There's
You can
loads
probably
of
get
shite that we could get into the midfield and the attack.
yes,
but
and then you can go deadly on the attack.
I think Company and Vidic probably two of the best I can think of out that list.
I don't fucking like Company or Vidic.
Really?
Grizz, I hope you've
I'm a Heinze man.
I hope you've sent that few quid to Stephen Mack because he said Grizz looks like he's lost a stone or two.
Yeah, he's correct.
Yeah,
He's
it's a
correct.
fucking kidney stone if he lost it.
Yeah.
It's nothing else. He's
Great
very
shout.
stressed, aren't you? Grizz? Great
shout.
shout.
Okay, so you don't.
Shout
So
of
you
the
don't.
day.
So you don't rate Company, Keith. Come here. I don't get this one.
I'm
You
only
don't rate
messing
Company.
now. I just wanted Heinze and
I'm with
Grizz.
you.
I'm only joking.
I'm with you with Vidic. Okay, we'll take out Vidic, but
No,
Company.
all right. Keep them in.
If you're going to
Keep
go
him
for
in.
shit, you have to go Phil Jones.
Phil Jones, yeah, definitely is. Because I was absolutely gutted when we missed out on him. I thought he was going to be great. And he's gash.
Yeah. Well, Tar or him are the shittest.
I think if it was me, and look, I'm not making this decision. I've left it to you tonight, but I would be looking along the lines of Phil Jones and Nemanja Vidic.
A good Man United, solid back two.
Well, no, we hate. We try not to. We've done one Man United player, and we don't want to come across bitter and sour and pick too many Man United. We'll go with Company and Jones then. One shit and one great that we missed out on. Yeah.
Okay.
So
we'll
because
go with
I
that,
think
yeah.
Company was an
and
absolute
Jones.
Rolls Royce.
Yeah. CD fan says Phil Jones was meant to be unbelievable, wasn't he? There was loads of teams looking for him. Around 18 million, I think he gone for in the end from Blackburn.
He was the best centre-back prospect in Europe when United got him. He looked absolutely brilliant and just went to shy.
Okay,
I
so
suppose he
lads,
wasn't helped, maybe. He just wasn't nurtured.
So we've got a back five.
So we're going for a back four then of Danny Alves, Company, Jones and Lucas Neal.
yeah.
So that's two.
The left-hand side of that
absolute gimps in there.
defence looks fucking desperate.
It does, yeah.
It looks desperate. So into midfield, lads, right? So you can get 3. You can put them anywhere you fucking want. I don't mind. It's Stephen Colker. We got Stephen Colker though. So
So we got him, yeah.
Oh yeah, we got him.
Delighted.
yeah. So onto midfield, lads. So you can start throwing names, good, bad, or indifferent, and I'll have a little think because I didn't do any homework.
Did Gabriel Heinze ever play midfield? No.
Shut up.
No.
you
This is
Gabriel
how I
Heinze.
didn't get him into the back four.
Midfielders, I don't know if you want to go.
We
short-stop.
were linked with loads. Remember our man Zielinski got someone put a jersey on him and took his picture and all.
Yeah.
Never
Mm-hmm.
seen. Never got.
Well,
a
he was
sniff
in
of the
Iron
album. Yeah.
So we could. Oh, great shout about Stephen O'Connor, Dahoud.
The hood. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's
great
actually-
shout.
He's still playing regular for Dortmund though.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
you'd
he's
say-
come back. He's
I
come
wouldn't
back.
say he's-
He'd gone off the radar, but he's come back.
Yeah, I think the first one.
Wacker says, what about Laudrup for centre midfield, Keith? You want to get him in early?
Listen, I've given up on Laudrup because we're trying to keep it to the 90s. But Michael Laudrup is the best player that we nearly got and didn't get. And I don't give a bollocks if we were in negotiations for Pele. We got in 1983, right? We tried to sign Michael Laudrup from Bromley, and he was a Liverpool fan, obsessed with Liverpool. We went in, right? We done a deal with them, and we agreed a 3-year deal with Bromley. And he gave the agreement, well, yeah, I'm in. Went back, thought it was all done, said his goodbyes, and Liverpool changed it to a 4-year deal because they felt he was still too young and they wanted the insurance to let him develop. And he said,
FSG out.
not
FSG
having that.
out.
FSG out, 1983.
Sake.
He went off to Juventus and became one of the best players in the history of the game because we
Yeah.
wanted to tag a year on. Disgraceful.
Owen
Fucking
Book.
whoever the owners were out.
Owen Burke has just thrown loads at you, right? Simel, Arda
Yeah.
Turan, Boya, Deli Ali, Dahoud. I think you'd have to put Simel and you'd probably have to put Arda Turan in your attackers. But
Yeah. I mean,
he's thrown
Boya's
them
a
in
great
there. He's
shout.
thrown them in there. Gareth Barry by Sean Lawson says.
Yeah.
I mean,
Alexis.
Now,
He's more of a-
now, David Lennon says, "Were we not linked with Juan Roman Rakalmi?"
I can't remember that.
I can't remember being
Can't
linked with
remember
him.
that.
I think David Lennon's trying to get it back on our good side here, lads.
But the two English shouts of Boyer and Barry, I think really stand out for me in terms of ones that thank fuck we didn't sign. Do you know what I mean?
Well, we only need one more of them.
Yeah, so, I mean, I thought Boyer was a good player. I'm not going to get away from it. I thought he was fantastic at Leeds. Very fiery, very creative, very energetic, had something about it. But the story goes, and I don't know if anyone could back me up on this, the story goes that as soon as he met him, he realized this is not who's the manager at the time. It's gone, but whoever the manager was.
It would have been Julio, yeah.
So the story goes as Julio met him and realized he's not fit for this club in terms of his attitude and everything. And, Lord Julio was proved right. I mean, an absolute knobstain of a bloke, to be honest with you. But
when them whole links came, I remember it well. It was just everyone was up in arms over this. It's like
the talk was that the deal was done with Bowyer.
Yeah, it was done.
It was done and dusted. I don't know what happened in the end, but it was done and dusted. Bowyer was telling people he was signing for Liverpool. And
it was done. It was just after the interview, Gav. He went to meet Julio, and Julio had a change of heart last minute, and we pulled out of the deal. And apparently the story goes that Julio thought he was an absolute knob. Even in the meeting, his attitude, something about him Julio didn't like, and fair play to Julio.
Yeah, okay.
But Gareth Barry was a mad shout, one of Rafa's mad ones, because he did have some mad ones. And
David Silva.
That's because he wanted to replace Alonso with Blade and Barry. That was the whole.
To throw a few at you, I'm just thinking here while you are talking. David Silva is definitely one. Juan Mata is another one.
Yeah.
Ruben Baraja. Was the Baraja was?
Yeah, but these are all attackers.
From Valencia.
Ruben Baraja isn't.
A centre midfielder from Valencia.
No, I'm talking about the others. Baraja was a central midfielder. Benitez would have loved him. Yeah, he would have been one of Benitez's. He would have loved
Michael Ballack.
Baraja.
Michael Ballack. We tried to link with him when we were getting rid of Gerrard, didn't we?
Did we ever get linked to? There was a name here, and I can't. I've just thought of the name. No. Did we ever get linked to Gascoigne?
No. Gorkov off from Bordeaux and Shawnee Lawson. That's a superb show.
Great.
I asked fucking Shawnee to come on tonight, and he said he couldn't.
And he's sitting in the bleeding chat, giving loads of
sitting
names.
in the chat, yeah. He's fucking. Now, in fairness, he probably has something better to be doing. Shawnee. He's a man of the world. So, in fairness, he could be literally just giving some of his very precious time to us, while in the middle of something else.
We were actually linked with Mendieta before he went there as well.
Yeah,
Gaisca Mendieta. Lovely midfielder.
We were linked with every Valencia player. Weren't we around that time? When Rafa came and David Albelda, we were linked with
superb shout.
Juan Angulo.
He was the DM that we wanted.
Oh, there's one there. Jay says boom song from Auxerre before he went to Newcastle. He was a disaster, an unmitigated disaster. Didn't he end up at Rangers? Didn't he end up at Rangers and he was just appalling?
No, he was at Rangers, wasn't he? And he was decent. And then he went to Newcastle. And
8 million to Newcastle or something, yeah. Thomas Maloney says Goretzka, which is we definitely linked with. Stephen O'Connor says Sigurdsson, which is definitely one of those. Dylan O'Rourke wants, can we have Aquilani? Just because he was Dortmund. No, he played for, so he doesn't. He doesn't qualify.
Yeah, the Prince of Rome. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Lovely looking fella, lovely hair, lovely looking fella.
Bit of a thorn in his eye, but we're not all perfect.
What's that got to do with that? You can't just say something because the fella has a thorn in his eye.
We all have our flaws. We all have our issues.
Speak for yourself.
Wacker says Everton paid £48 million for Gylfi Sigurdsson. Yeah. I remember that happening, and I was like, I actually remember going. I remember that transfer. Was this around? This is when they were trying to win the transfer window, and I remember that going on, and I don't know where how I would have been walking and driving at the time. That's the job I was in at the time, and you know the way the news comes on, and when the news come on, it was like, and Everton are still working on a deal for Gylfi Sigurdsson, and but Swansea have said they'll have to pay 50 million, and I was like, they won't be paying 50 million for him. They'll walk away, and it just kept going more and more and more, and eventually they broke Swansea down and gave them 48, and I was like, fucking hell. Avo says there's loads on the chat tonight. There is. It's getting hard to keep up.
Yeah.
It's getting hard to keep up. There's about 120 at the moment.
You get
It's an
so
even
many
enough
names
split.
linked, yeah, so there's
It's an
loads
even
thrown
enough.
in.
It's an even enough split between Periscope and YouTube. We need to get YouTube up above the Periscope Ultras, backed heavily by David Lennon and RedSmokeBombs.com. So we need to undo all that messing. The core says David Walsh.
Yeah, the core linked with him.
Was Ericsson ever linked? I think
Yes, he
Ericsson was linked.
Christian Eriksen was linked with us for ages from Ajax, and
Yeah, he was.
didn't pull the trigger, and then he went to Spurs.
Stephen Mack says we missed out on Maradona back in the day before your lot's time. Do explain. Please, Stephen, do explain.
I don't think we were ever linked with Maradona now, in fairness.
Graham Doyle says Mark Vivian Foe. God rest his soul, but he was definitely linked.
Yeah, he was linked with us, that's true. So what are we doing here? We've got one more shy bag to put in here. So do we want a midfielder, Grizz, or do we have you any standout forwards that we want to keep as a gimp? Like,
well, I wouldn't go near the forward yet. You're gonna have to. If I was you, I'd get your brutal fella in now, along with two belters.
Yeah.
James says Djorkaeff and Stankovic. I can't remember.
Djorkaeff, I don't remember Stankovic, but Djorkaeff is a great shout. I remember Djorkaeff link. Yep, under Houllier. I mean, Houllier.
Were we after Makelele?
The thing
is another question.
Oh no, I don't ever remember Makelele. But you know, it always goes. The nationality of a player always was linked with sort of the player, the manager we had at the time. So Rafa, there was a lot of host of Spanish players or players from La Liga that were linked with us. You know, we'll probably get onto so many of them.
Dylan O'Rourke asks, surely we were linked with Letitia, every other Southampton player we have been. No, Letitia, whenever he was linked to be moving away from Southampton, it always seemed to be Spurs.
He's a Spurs fan as well.
Yeah, it always seemed to be Spurs. Is he a Spurs fan?
Yeah,
despite being from Southampton?
Yeah, he's a Spurs fan.
Stephen O'Connor does back it up with Christian Eriksen. David Lennon asks Boban. I'm not too sure. David Walsh says, sorry, I stand corrected. David Walsh says, yeah, we were in for Letitia. Souness wanted him. But I think whenever it was out in the open, I think it seemed to be Spurs. Shawnee Lawson's thrown Tielemans in there, and if that's true,
Tielemans, we were linked with Tony Cruz because Brendan Rodgers asked Steven Gerrard to send him a blade in WhatsApp.
Oh, there you go.
Something like that to get him to
I guess
sign,
we could put in Cruz in one of the midfield slots as the one that got away, Keith. That's fair enough, isn't
happy
it?
to do that. Tony Cruz played great player.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Ballack is one that got away. Michael Ballack was a playing great player.
Yeah.
Michael Ballack was... Yeah, of course we were linked with him. Of course we were.
When you were selling Gerrard, he was the player.
Yes. Of course we were. I mean, Gav wants to throw in a goose in there, so you know, shall we say Barry or
Ash says Hamsik.
Yeah, Hamsik every season Hamsik as well.
Napoli's all-time top scorer, and he just looks shy. Looks brutal, and he broke all Maradona's fucking records in Napoli for just staying around like a bad smell for 20 years.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
We used to be linked with Steedmel Bronk from Fulham.
Yeah.
Nice and tidy little player there as well. Remember him?
Remember Clint Dempsey? I mean, nearly gave them Jordan Henderson. Fuck Clint Dempsey.
Shall we put Dempsey as one of the gimps then? Because
was he more forward or was he in midfield?
Well, you can put him in as your forward, and then you can just go with two belters up front and three belters in midfield.
Well, if
I will tell you that name on the screen right now, Ronaldo, it was 100%. Definitely linked. So just make room.
What was Zelensky?
David Walsh says Sanchez, Remy. They're all flying in now. Ruby Costa said James. I don't know about that one, but it could have happened.
I suppose it's back then. It wasn't there was no Twitter and all linking you with every blade and tramping the street.
No, you had to ring a number, and then they sent you 8 texts, and then you had to send 8 texts back.
Chris Brack is always brilliant when he's not on. Lee Katamon.
God,
Sorry, Chris.
That's fucking
I'm
desperate.
only joking. Okay,
Love that.
but he's come out with brilliant Lee
Yeah.
Catamo under Rafa, and we have to put Lee Catamo in there and get him out of the way. Brilliant shout from that's one of the
Lee
shouts of the night.
Catamo,
Lee
Catzy goes in,
Catamo, yeah,
holding midfield.
unbelievable.
Right, so you're going for Lee Catamo. Fair enough. The attackers are going to absolutely fly in now in a minute.
Oh, attackers are going to be great. We need one more midfielder because we've got the gimps out of the way. We need one more good midfielder. So what are you saying?
You have Cruz.
Are we
Yeah,
going
You
with
have
we need
Cruz.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You have Cruz. You have Catamo, and
Who would
Tony
we say?
Cruz is looking on disgusted here.
Who else
Looking
would we
for
say?
a short, looking for a 5-yard ball off his midfield
Do you know
partner,
what?
and Lee Catzy is just putting it into Rose Ed.
he's not. He's just pulling those shorts up a little bit higher.
Who are we thinking then as the other midfielder that we, got away?
I'm pushing for
There
Ballack.
were some very good ones in there.
There's no way we are linked with Zidane.
No,
Not a fucking hope.
even I didn't make that one up.
Because if even you wouldn't make that up, and if we are ever linked with Zidane,
Lizanne, what's on your mind, Gav?
lasagna.
All right, yeah.
If we were ever linked with Zidane, we'd still be talking about it today.
We could have been linked with him when he was at League Can or when he was at Bordeaux before he.
Wacker
broke
says
on.
David Silva. I think that's a fucking amazing show.
Yeah, but he was when we were linked with him, we want him as a wide forward. So I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah,
We wanted him
I'd
as a
have
wide
Ballack
forward.
over him and big
Ballack,
6'3" German.
I'm good.
Like, I'm all over this.
I'm good with Ballack. Go for it. I'm good with Ballack. Yeah.
Are we linked with any
But-
Argentinians? Because I do love Argentinians.
Under Benitez, there was a couple, but the name is beyond me now. We were linked with that guy who ended up with AC Milan.
Catamo as the pivot behind Cruz and Ballack. It's dangerous in more ways than one. That reminds me of the shout a while back. Do you remember Cristiano Ronaldo flicking on balls for Shane Long to chase?
Yeah, that's the one.
That was amazing.
Keith, that central midfielder is still at AC Milan, Argentinian, linked with him very, very heavily. I don't know if the name will come back to you.
AC Milan.
Yeah,
Lucas
he's an AC.
Biglia. Lucas Biglia.
That's the one. That's the one. So
Yeah.
he was linked with us quite often as
He
well.
was sure he put him, fairness.
Absolute shine. Absolute shine.
Yeah.
So I think
Right.
Ballack, Cruz, and Catamo is quite a combo there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So, forwards.
The forwards. Are we putting that little shite by Cristiano Ronaldo in here? Yeah.
Well,
number one,
listen, he was definitely linked with Liverpool. I think we could have
that was
signed
a
him, but
great story. We were linked with him, right?
we
went
felt
over.
that the money was too much.
Phil Thompson went. No, it wasn't even that. Phil Thompson went over. Right, had a meeting with in Sporting. Don't know why Timo was the one went over, but Timo went over. They had a deal agreed for 4 million for Cristiano Ronaldo. Came back, told Houllier, and they're like, right, that's great. They were sitting then, chilling out, watching, I don't know, the chase or 15-1 or countdown or whatever was in vogue back then, and the news thing came up and Cristiano Ronaldo signed for Man United for 12 million, I think. So it was the same time, like they thought he had him lined up. He was literally on the hook to go to Liverpool, and then United came in and threw 12 million at it.
It was
Few dodgy
literally
deals back then.
that's absolutely it. Was literally, we had a deal agreed, and I was so excited. I remember because alongside Ronaldo, there was the other fella who just recently stopped playing, Keith, Charisma.
Yeah.
Who
He
were
always linked with Quaresma,
yeah,
wasn't he?
Charisma's one. So Charisma and
Timo.
Ronaldo were the two wonder kids of Europe.
Yeah.
But
I'll tell you something. There's a serious amount of fucking knowledge in this group chat tonight. You know that?
Yeah.
A serious amount of knowledge. I'm not even paying attention to what you two fucking idiots are saying. I'm just reading what's going on here. The amount of knowledge in this group is unreal. Go on, continue. I promise I'll listen.
No, the LFC fan base is known as to be a very knowledgeable fan base, and
And among the LFC fan base, the Fatback 4 fan base are the most knowledgeable of the LFC fan base.
absolutely credible.
And all probably a little bit weird for listening to us. Didn't Raul start flirting with Liverpool after Istanbul? Asked Gareth Jackson.
I can't remember. I wouldn't be able to remember that.
Could have seen. Would probably would have been coming into the end of
But
his-
Ronaldo, but the
It's fine,
Ronaldo
it could be
story
linked.
continues. The Ronaldo story continues in terms of, look, we were sort of trying to get him on the cheap. FSG out. And then in came Man United and blew us away, and we as a consequence and as a consolation, we thought we bought the two young best French kids around at the time.
Right.
So go on.
Ash says Joaquin from Real Betis.
Every year. Joaquin was the olden days Simao. Like Simao's recent, and Joaquin was like before that. Every single season, Joaquin was coming under Rafa. While Rafa was there, he was coming every year.
Dylan O'Rourke has collected every Match magazine rumour rated since 2004.
Well, then tell him to check and see when we were linked with Christian Vierdi, because I can't remember this one, and he is one of my favourite strikers of all time. So,
well, there's Carlton Cole was thrown in there. Carlton Cole was thrown in there. Tom,
that's the thing. Stop throwing the.
Oh yeah. We don't need shit. We just need deadly fellas now. Sorry about that. I was too busy reading the chat. I lost all. So Darren Bent is out the window. Christian Vierdi says Barry Devaney. Yeah, there you go. Boom. Christian Vierdi,
one of the best.
David Villa. Christian Tello was another one every season. David Villa.
David Villa is the best striker we didn't get.
Ooh, yes.
In the
David
last
Villa.
20 years.
Replace David Villa with who would it have been at the time, and we would have been absolutely flying, because we had. I mean, if we could have matched up,
it was around
Torres,
2000. It was around 2007, I think, wasn't it?
If we could have matched up Torres with Villa at Liverpool with Stevie G behind, I'll let you guys fantasize over that, but that would have been pure sex. That would have been unbelievable combination. Torres, Villa, and Gerrard at that time.
Stephen Mack says this, but if Neil O'Gray said this to me, I believe him. Sure, LFC tried to sign me in the 80s, but I was in a beta on a mad one, so I declined. It's happened as well.
Hey, how can we forget? There's two great shouts there by Kev O'Sullivan and Morbid Angel is better than death. All right.
Sergio Aguero.
Sergio Aguero, yeah. And Kev O'Sullivan says, how can we forget Royce?
Well, you see, I don't know if Royce qualifies, because I think he's played for Liverpool. Because he's been linked that much.
He's always injured. He just hasn't made an appearance. He's injured. Yeah. He's been injured this time.
Morientes is mentioned, but he played. Cisse and Crouch both played, so they can't think. If we needed a shit one, we used to be linked with Darren Huckabee back in the day, which is mad. There's so many names, but David Villa has to be in there.
I know we were linked with the likes of Shearer and all these games, but David Villa every day.
Cavani. Yeah, but we never linked with Cavani. Where we
linked with Cavani always. Yeah.
Where we?
Because him and Suarez, they tried to bring the two of them in together because they're pals. They're born in the same place, Salto in Uruguay, the same year and all. They grew up playing kids football and all together. Yeah. They tried to team the two of them up at Liverpool, 100%.
Teddy Sheringham says Stephen O'Connor, very famous story around
Keith,
Teddy Sheringham.
If you're so sure on Villa, there's no way we're leaving out David Silva as one got away. David Silva was magic. He's one of the best players of all time in the Premier League.
Nah, he's not. Listen, David Silva's a great player, right? David Silva's a great player. David Silva.
Who have you got so far? You have Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh yeah, he's nailed on.
I want
David Villa.
Grizz isn't too pushed on David Villa.
I am. I am.
David Silva's a good player, but I think he's overrated personally. I think he's hugely overrated because I think in the last couple of years he's a good player. He's appreciated, but I think it's more since he's moved back.
Well, in that case, I'd say David Silva's done much more than Ballack, Keith. So then I would say David Silva would take out Ballack.
Now see, this is when I like. This is what I like.
We're
just about an hour in. Now, and the lads are killing each other.
Yeah, no, Silva was a squad man. Silva was a jobber for Spain. He wasn't a main man. I don't know if there's
if Gav can get a consensus or a feel of what the listeners and viewers say over Silva.
Well, they can hear you, so just say it.
No, I know, but you can see it. I can't see all the comments, so I'm saying Silva or Ballack. Then let them decide because I agree with Villa. I'm going with you on the Villa, 100%.
Well done.
Right, so Villa, Ronaldo. Okay, now I'm saying Silva has to be in a Liverpool team that got away
ahead of Michael Ballack.
Michael Ballack.
No way.
Well, the cop end is straight in. He says Silva over Ballack.
That's recency bias. That's recency bias and Premier League bias because Ballack came to
Well,
the Premier
Thomas,
League and
Thomas,
Silva is an overrated player. I'm telling you, he's a good player, but he's
Well, listen, we're a podcast for the fans.
Oh,
Keith.
wow. Hold on.
So-
Graham Doyle says bad to Stewart. Now, that's a blame into the mix now. If
there you go.
Steve
Game
Sawyer
over.
says Silva all day. Let me see.
Ariel Ortega, another
Ash
Argentinian.
says Silva all day.
Silva, yeah, the Silvers are coming
Telling
in.
you. Silva
Chris
is
Brack
due
wants
to go away.
Ronaldo, Villa, and Eric Cantona.
No,
Eric Cantona is a myth,
fuck.
right? Eric Cantona turned up at United in '92
Absolutely
and
overrated.
spent 5 years and fucked off. He was a myth.
Yeah,
Don't be
banned for
minding
the
what.
years as well.
Yeah, he scored the old
Great,
fucking.
great shout by Gareth Jackson for Di Natale. What a shout.
He's a proper player.
What a shout.
Natale's a great player, but we're in the Batigol realms here now for
No,
fuck's
I
sake,
don't
and
remember-
Sergio Aguero.
If
Yeah,
someone
the red smoke is cleared in David Lennon's sitting room, and he stopped suggesting shy players, and he started suggesting good ones, because he's just realised how this works. We're never going to let him live this down now because he's a Periscope ultra.
Well, look,
go on.
listen, I think we've totally disregarded Aguero.
Yeah.
I don't know for what reason.
Yeah,
Why have we
hard one.
disregarded Aguero? The Premiership's
Are we
all-time
putting them on?
greatest scorer.
Are we putting them on the wing? Because I think David Villa is a better centre forward than Aguero. I think David Villa is one of the best centre forwards of the last 15.
Gareth Jackson says Mbappe.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, he hasn't got
Werner.
away. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. He hasn't got away. We've got to
Oh,
remember.
don't be doing that now.
Mbappe-
No,
but
not at a
Mbappe,
minute
he
past 11 at night.
He hasn't got away.
Twitter
Mbappe
is on
is still,
meltdown.
yeah. So that doesn't count.
Barry Carr says Hulk.
No, we weren't ever linked with Hulk, and he was
We
never a
didn't have
Liverpool player.
shorts big enough for his big fat arse.
The cop
so
end
what-
says Danny Alves at right back. He's in there already, cop end. We filled out the team. We're on.
Fill out,
We,
remind everyone of the team. What shall I do it? Oh, Keith's got it. Go on, Keith.
Keith's got it. Go, Keith.
Van der Sar in goal. We're going with Danny Alves right back, Vincent Kompany centre back, alongside Phil Jones and Lucas
As one of
Neal.
our gimps. Yep.
That's a weak spot. And the good news is they're protected at holding midfield by Lee Catamol. We've got Tony Kroos as a shoe-in. We're arguing over Ballack's inclusion now. And we've got Ronaldo on the wing, David Villa, and we've one more position. Now,
Alexis Sanchez is thrown in there by James.
Yeah.
Anelka can't because he played for us. He can't get in there.
Anelka.
Viduka says Gareth Jackson. Apparently,
Conor Bianchi.
Barry Devaney
Carragher.
says that Klopp talked to Mbappe's dad. So
Yeah.
I love the way people say that.
Diego
So
Costa-
I don't think that's
Diego
allowed.
Costa was heavily linked.
And
Henri
Diego Costa
was
Henri
on-
linked?
Was Henri ever linked?
No, Henri was never linked.
I think
Linked
Henri
itself,
just always said how much he liked Liverpool. I don't
Yeah.
think he was ever linked.
Yeah. that's
David
right.
Lennon says we are linked with Rivaldo. Pulisic is thrown in there. Diego Costa from Owen Bourke. Just bleeding loads of names. Duff from Thomas Maloney. It's a good
Great
shout
shout.
as well, actually.
Absolute great shout. Damien Duff, we missed that one.
Aubameyang from Kev O'Sullivan.
Yeah.
The cop end says Aguero for sure. Goetz is in there from Thomas. Tevez from Dylan O'Rourke. There's fucking loads of names, lads. He's a struggle here.
There's too many. We mentioned most of them. We're not
So,
struggling.
so
We're
I
mentioning-
think do you know what? I'm going to. If you're arguing over Silva and Ballack, I think you're going to have to. You might have to go with Silva because he seemed to be winning that vote very, very easily.
Hold on a minute.
If you want to go and do that,
Listen, we're a fans podcast, Keith. It's not about me and you here.
right, Keith, you're out.
It's about the
This is
fans.
disgraceful. This is
David
disgraceful.
Silva in instead.
It's
You'll
about
have a
the
row
fans.
about it.
So David Silva and Lee
Jono
Catamol.
says Timo Werner. Love it, Jono. Love it.
Anywhere yet? He hasn't signed anywhere.
Yeah, he hasn't signed anywhere yet. Etu says Stephen O'Connor. He was
Shout.
about 40 at the time, though, was he? The Brazilian guy that plays for Shakhtar, Texeira.
Alex
Teixeira,
Teixeira.
yes.
Willian as well. We were something linked to Willian
Willian.
from Shakhtar as well.
Yeah.
wasn't he?
So
Oh,
we're going
not
with
Shakhtar.
Lee. We're going with Lee Catamol. We're going with David Silva.
Our midfield
And,
is short now, lads.
and Michael Laudrup, is it?
No,
No,
Cruz.
Tony Kroos.
Tony
Cruz.
Cruz.
Okay.
I took a name
And then,
Michael Laudrup because he was in the 80s, so I said,
okay.
Well, if you're if you want Ballack so
Jackson
badly,
says Gary Goals. Gary Goals. People who don't know what that is, surely you've seen that joke on Facebook.
Morbid Angel is better than Death Again. What a brilliant name, and he's come out with a brilliant Alex Witsel. We were linked with him before he went to Dortmund.
Yeah.
So that's a good shout. Look, Keith, I'm prepared to bargain because I'm a fair man. Now, if you want, because I see you really annoyed at the Ballack out.
No, I'm not. I'm not coming around to it, but I'm sort of looking at a formation and thinking we could do something where you'd have Silva to the left or right and Ronaldo on the other wing, and then you could shoehorn in Sergio Aguero and David Villa up front in a 2.
I was gonna say because I think we're not doing justice to Sergio Aguero and just saying, oh yeah, the likes of all these other players. Sergio Aguero is one of the greatest goal scorers of all time, and how can we not say? And he loved us. He's a Liverpool fan.
What about Didier Baptiste?
Didier Baptiste. Is that the fella off Harchester?
Yeah, played for Harchester. He played for Dream Team, got linked, and some newspaper ran with it.
Chris Brack says, "Don't pander to Keith. He never reads the comments. Listen, he's only learning. Leave him a fucking alone." He just
David, one that got away and shit. David Walsh has come out with a brilliant one. Thomas Lamar, another hipster's choice, and I said all the time, he's crap, and look, he's turned out to be crap.
I don't think he is crap, but anyway, I think he's signed for the wrong team.
I'm
with Kieran Thorne. I can't understand how you would be not putting Gabriel Batistuta in this side.
I'm happy.
We wasn't linked. I don't think he was linked. I don't think he was. That's not a serious link.
Oh, I don't know.
That's not a
I
serious
can't
link.
remember it being a serious.
Yeah.
I mean, he was at Fiorentina, right?
Was SEN linked? Because Wacker has asked him to go back and look at midfield with SEN. I don't think he was.
The front, he came over from.
Owen Borgdo says we are signing SEN had Gerrard moved to Chelsea.
We were signing Ballack. 100% we were signing Ballack as Chelsea.
He wanted him to play him together. That was his dream partnership for
Mourinho.
The wanker that was Mourinho, yeah.
Yeah, no, we were signing Ballack, definitely.
Phil Coutinho. Funny enough, we're going to talk about Phil Coutinho before we leave. We're going to have a mix of random questions and Phil Coutinho chat before we leave as a little bonus for all you being great. Lads, pick a fucking striker, will you? Come on.
Not Gav, Keith.
Yeah. Aguero.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. If you're happy
with
that,
so you're going with Catamol, Silva, and Cruz in midfield, and you're going with Ronaldo, David Villa, and Kun Aguero up front.
That's the one for me.
I cannot believe I didn't get Michael Laudrup because I was being the bigger man, and I said we'll keep this to the 90s. I then got overruled somehow on Heinze isn't in the team, the one I wanted, and now Ballack, the other one I wanted, is out for David Silva, who's only been sort of good for a couple of years.
It's the fans.
Are you going to make some sort of complaint to some sort of authority about bullying?
Yeah, I'm going to write a letter.
You've got my email. Email me, Keith.
When were we?
for all inquiries, email Grizz at AOL.ie.
Email me, Keith.
Let me see. Catamol will be sent off after 25 minutes trying to impress Silva and Cruz. Keith is clearly on the gear, says Stephen Mack.
Angry tonight.
And look, leave him alone. If he's on it, leave him alone. It's his life. Lads, there was a question up here, and Mick asked it, and it's who's the manager?
Oh, great shout. Good question.
Manager.
I go straight away in terms of the best one that we avoided was it's out of Mourinho or Ancelotti for me.
Okay.
Go on, discuss.
Yeah,
I think you need to go back and you need to look at around the time that Roy Hodgson was given the job. And if Noel Edmonds was in the running, I would say Noel Edmonds is probably the fellow we missed out on. Because Hodgson was just fucking depressing. But I can't actually think of other managers that No, not at that time. I mean at the time around Hodgson. I think the Hodgson team was just nailed on. Yeah, Jurgen Klinsmann says the cop end. When was that?
We were linked heavily. That was when they tried to get Rafa out. Hicks and Gillette tried to get Rafa out for Jurgen Klinsmann.
But then Jurgen Klinsmann is probably the best one we missed out on, because if you'd got him, you wouldn't have got Roy Hodgson.
No, we can't do that. We've got to just take it on face value, and it's got to be either Klinsmann or what's your boy?
Mourinho, Ancelotti.
No, Klinsmann. Gab's right in terms of one that pissed us off. Would have been crap. Martinez and Klinsmann count as not very good ones that got away. That we didn't. It's good we didn't get them. And then Ancelotti and Mourinho would come down as...
Yeah, but Mourinho gets the job. We don't get Benitez and we don't win the European Cup, in my opinion.
We can't go down that route.
Well, that's the truth. And if you get Ancelotti, you don't get Klopp.
Yeah, but we could go through the team and say if we didn't get that, we just got to take on face value two great managers. Let's not say Ancelotti and Mourinho aren't two, probably in the top 10 of all time, maybe less. You got to say that two of the top 10 managers of all time, and we were sort of linked with them very heavily. And I get the choices thing.
Hiddink.
I don't remember being linked with Hiddink.
I remember being linked with Hiddink, but he was
Alan Corbishley.
Definitely linked with Corbishley.
Fuck yeah, now Corbishley.
It's hard to
Corbishley was around the time of Hodgson.
Yeah.
Nah, bollocks, he was well explored by then.
No, I'm nearly sure he was around that time.
I think Corbishley definitely gets the shit one that we're so glad.
One that we dodged the bullet on is Phil Neal when he wanted the manager's job and Kenny got it.
Oh God, here goes back to the black and white days with Keith.
Just back in the 80s. I love the 80s.
Yeah.
When Kenny got the job, didn't he?
Fair shout. Yeah.
Phil Neal sent in a CV via pigeon, I'd say. That's how far he's going back. Lads, pick as a manager. Come on. And you can have good or bad. Stu wants us just to have an absolutely rancid manager just for the crack, though.
Shy, right. Stinker. Who are we thinking, Grizz?
It's Corbishley stinker.
Hold on. Owen Coyle was never mentioned in the Liverpool job, was he?
Bolton manager? Nah.
No way. Shaq says Martin O'Neill.
Yeah.
Was definitely linked.
That's a good shout.
Sam Allardyce was linked.
Boy, Sam Allardyce probably.
No, Sam Allardyce was linked to the Liverpool job. 100%. Allardyce.
I'm going for the shite. I'm going Corbishley or the one that's just mentioned.
Martin O'Neill.
No, he was shite, but come on, you can't be in Corbishley levels.
Stephen
Corbishley or Allardyce? Corbishley or Allardyce?
Stop it, Keith.
Well,
I tell you something.
Stop
if you're
that.
picking a worse manager between Corbishley and Allardyce, it's definitely Corbishley. Definitely.
Corbishley retired about 15 years ago.
Yeah, but I'm telling you now. Sam Allardyce would have walked in and looked at all these players and went, some of these are shite, but I'll do something, and some of these are deadly, and I'm down with the kids.
Was Allardyce linked with us?
Yeah, he was. He genuinely was. And the cop end says Klinsmann was approached 100%. Yeah, but I think if you want a rancid one, I think Alan Corbishley is just the one.
That's one. That's
he's
in
basically
the bracket of being
he's basically he's basically like he's Eddie Howe is the modern day Alan Corbishley. That's the only way I can explain it.
Not a bad shout. Not a bad shout. That.
Okay, lads. So, Keith, read us out your side, and remember that this side has included 8 really, really, really good players that Liverpool missed out on, and we are gutted, plus 3 really terrible players that Liverpool missed out on, and you were kind of a little bit gutted at the same time, and I went completely wrong. Plus, a shite manager. Let's be honest about it. Keith, the floor is yours.
Alan Corbishley's Liverpool team is Edwin van der Sar in goal. Danny Alves right back, Vincent Kompany centre back, Phil Jones centre back, and Lucas Neal left back. Lee Cattermold in midfield. Oh my God, this thought of it. Alongside David Silva and Tony Kroos.
Oh, silk.
And then we have Ronaldo as well, dropping back to a wing to accommodate David Villa and Sergio Aguero up front. I like that, yeah, I do like it, except for...
Chris Brack is asking, where are your subs? I don't think we're going to do subs. This is the dream team. We just go out and win games. Yeah. Lads, before we leave, over the last couple of days, there's been all this stuff about Philip Coutinho making apparently personal pleas to Jurgen Klopp to get back to Liverpool, and is willing to take a massive pay cut to make it happen. And apparently Barcelona are willing to do their best to get rid of him. Grizz, I'll come to you first. What do you make of all this?
I think it's just come about because of the fact that we've kind of come out openly and said we haven't got much money as a result of this pandemic. And so that puts us in a situation where we have to look for bargains, stroke loan deals. And then when you look into the market, the current world football market in terms of the best loan deals or cheap deals that are going about, you'd say Phil Coutinho is on top of the list in terms of high quality players going for cheap loans. So I think that's where the links come from, because it makes sense in terms of financially. If the fact that Barcelona are absolute desperate, they've nearly halved the asking fee, the loan fee. They've offered to pay his wages. So look, from that aspect, I can totally understand the links, because look, if someone was offering us now, forget his past. If someone's offering us Phil Coutinho for 40 million, 28-year-old, should be at his peak. He's not at his peak, but should be age-wise. 40 million in this day and age, you'd seriously consider Phil Coutinho to enhance your squad.
Yeah, but if we don't have 40 million to pay for Timo
I'm just coming to
Werner...
that. No, I'm just saying that. I mean, look, about 40 million...
Apologies.
No, about 40
Don't
million...
apologise.
No, it's cool. 40 million wouldn't be... 40 million wouldn't be now, Keith. It would be paid at the end of the loan fee if we were taking the option to buy him.
Oh no, it's a hefty loan fee, isn't it?
This is the thing. It's not now. This is it. This is the whole point of it. Is that the loan fee was ridiculous. It was like 25 million or 25 million. Now it's like 10 million they'll accept. Yeah, as a loan fee. Or we could even discuss. No loan fee. So look, from that aspect, Liverpool would, or any football club would consider it. I think Liverpool would consider it and decide no. Personally, I love the player. I absolutely fucking adore the player. I'm not going to hold back and say, he done this, he done this. We know what he done. For me, as just an ordinary layman fan who doesn't understand the finances very well, I would say, bring back Phil Coutinho. He enhances our squad no end. He's better than your Shaq, your Lallana's, your Curtis Jones, your Elliott's. Coutinho is better than all of them and will give you more output when playing. But that's me saying it as a fan of Coutinho and as a fan of Liverpool. The businessmen, the coaches, Jurgen, Klopp would look at far more things than I would. And I think I can totally understand the decision to say thanks, but no thanks.
A couple of people commenting there saying Coutinho paid money out of his own pocket to leave us, let him pay it out of his own pocket to get back. Kevin Sullivan reckons it's a 14 million loan fee. Dylan O'Rourke makes a brilliant point. He said, I hate this chat that Klopp doesn't want him back because what he done. He loves Lewandowski and Götze, who both left for free, if I'm not mistaken. That is a seriously good fucking point.
Back. He took Shinji Kagawa and Nori Sahin back at Dortmund.
Listen, we don't need to listen to anyone else talk about those kind of things. We can only
we didn't take Götze back. Sorry,
Götze was after.
We can only go by what Jurgen Klopp has said, literally about 9 months ago, and his words were, Coutinho, I discussed with Edwards, but the finances didn't make sense. He didn't ever refer to anything to do with Phil Coutinho as played his part here at time. Thank you for his time. He left.
Do you know what gets to me?
The landscape has changed.
Yeah, but you know what gets to me? And you just said it there, the landscape has changed, right? We're all going on the fact that Liverpool didn't pay the 55 million for Timo Werner as a massive sign that Liverpool are skint, right? I disagree with that massively, right? Now, I think it was Kieran Thorne said on this show the other night on the chat, he said he reckons it's somewhere around 120 million Liverpool have not lost, but they've paid out 90 million in wages. They're going to lose 35 million plus. It worked around 140 million, which is an absolutely fair point, right? But I think I genuinely believe Liverpool looked at Timo Werner and thought, we're not paying 55. Because of the clause that's there, we don't have to pay the 55. We can wait till that clause disappears and we can get him for whatever, because he's running out of the deal, right? And on top of that, I think Liverpool are looking at, I'm not going to name players, pick 2 players, right? And I think Liverpool are looking going, Timo Werner at X amount. Let's put 2 out there. Let's put, just for argument's sake, Kylian Mbappe, right? Just for argument's sake, plus another at, let's say, 100 and 150 million, just for argument's sake. And I genuinely believe that Liverpool have been given more encouragement on one of these 2 players and have decided we're gonna go for this one and we're gonna let the Timo Werner thing slide, right? Because there's no way in hell, and I mean this, there's no fucking way in hell that Liverpool, they don't pay all this money up front, right? So there's no way in hell that Liverpool couldn't afford
finance
Timo Werner. Right?
Absolutely
Not a chance, right? Because there's no way Liverpool couldn't go to anybody, right, and say to them, we will give you 25 up front plus 30 over 5 years. It's easily done. Absolutely easily done. Right? David Lennon is asking who do you drop for Coutinho, and Timo would never start. That's never the point, David. The point is really good players in a squad. Right? None of them start every week. None of them, unless you're Virgil van Dijk, who's a machine. Right? But what I'm saying is, right, we are all going on this logic because Liverpool have said nothing about Timo Werner. And all right, there's been reports that Chelsea have agreed personal terms with Timo Werner. Have they agreed anything with Leipzig? Has it been announced? Now, people will say, well, they're holding off because he's in the Champions League. Stop it, will you? Stop it. Right? If they've agreed a deal, they will want that deal out there. Right?
It's done. Stop that.
You have to agree
no, listen. It may be done. It may be done. But they've agreed this. There is no reason why Chelsea cannot, at any stage, say, we have triggered that clause in Timo Werner's contract. No reason why they can't. And see all this, they're waiting because he's in the Champions League. That's not the point. No. The point is, if the clause is there and you've activated it, you are well within your rights to make it known that you've activated it. I'm not saying he's going to sign for Liverpool. I'm not saying he's going to not sign for Chelsea. Nothing like that. But I don't like that we're using Timo Werner as the rhetoric to look at Liverpool's transfer business when the season hasn't ended yet. The transfer window, we don't even know when it opens. We don't know when it closes. Right? So don't get me wrong, I could sit here at the end of probably October now when this window ends and we sign nobody, and I'll say, yeah, well, listen, they didn't sign anyone. And I would probably be a little bit upset.
We're talking about Phil Coutinho.
Yeah, I know. Coutinho, I would take him back in a heartbeat. All right.
Thanks,
the money being touted is it would all depend if it's 10, 12 million over a season with an option to buy.
Yeah, not an obligation, an option.
Not an obligation. I think it's a very, very good deal in my opinion, regardless of the financial situation around. Because as far as I'm concerned, I would have Philip Coutinho in my side as much as I possibly could, and also I would have him in my side over.
He's about to make a really interesting point there, but the Lords above have frozen him because I think is...
No, there you go.
Go on. What was you going to say, Gav? You got cut off at the...
No, it doesn't matter. Go on, Keith.
My take on it, right? My take on the whole thing is that Coutinho as a player, right, shouldn't be in doubt that he adds quality to this squad, right? People need to forget about how he left Liverpool and keep on putting that on Coutinho, because that is Barca's modus operandi for getting players out of clubs. They do it with everyone. The Spanish teams do it with all their targets. It's right, do this, feign injury, do that. He went along with it to get his dream move. I think Shawnee said it on a show the other night. You know, he's a Latin American player is always going to want to play for the Spanish clubs. So I don't hold it against Coutinho really about how he left Liverpool. The issue I have is the money. Like, I don't think Liverpool would spend that on a player of his age. Now, even the loan fee that's being mentioned, I think is too high. I think that dead money, that's throwing fucking whatever, the 15 million down the scudder hole, because what are you getting for that? You're getting a loan of Philippe Coutinho. I think Liverpool, my personal opinion on this is that Liverpool have changed their tact. The Werner thing, he wasn't going to be a first team starter, right? for want of a better phrase. He was going to be a squad player, and the money was too rich. And they might have tried to say if they could get it lower, maybe, if the AFCON was on. And that looks like that's being pushed out. I think the money is there. If Liverpool have a target that's going to be a first-team player, let's say, right, Mbappe or Sancho get mentioned all the time. If they're available and wanted to come to Liverpool, I think Liverpool would pull the trigger and do them now. They'd get the money. They don't want to spend it recklessly, maybe, on a squad player. If a midfield player that they thought was going to go in and be a first-team player, as in, I'm a big fan of Hassan Mewar of Lyon. I think he's absolutely sensational. I think they'd spend on him. I don't think they'd spend on the likes of a Havertz because the money is too dear. I think the package for these guys is too much. Now, I think Liverpool would rather than bring in Coutinho for 15 million, would rather bring in someone from a Leipzig or a Salzburg that you get for a lot less, that has resale value and is an investment. Just and look, I don't know.
No, I mean, I understand and I agree with what you're saying because that's how the club will operate. That's how the club will do things. I was just talking from an absolute layman fan, a personal opinion, and I think me and Gav are similar, that we're very big Phil Coutinho fans. So the fact that we're Coutinho fans, we want him in the squad.
Yeah.
But you're right. But you're right. The package. The reason why we didn't go for Timo Werner is the package didn't suit us at this time.
Yeah,
it's going to be the same reason why we won't get Phil Coutinho. The package won't suit us at this moment in time, and that's all it's down to. I completely disregard the opinion of people that say Klopp wouldn't have him back, etc., etc. I don't believe that's the case. I literally think we wouldn't, as you say, we wouldn't be happy paying, let's just say 20 million as a package for a 28, 9-year-old who's got no resale value, who, you know, this is going to be his last big contract, really. And we'd rather, and it's been proven so, that we'd rather find the next Phil Coutinho. That next Phil Coutinho, I think we would wait and patiently wait and try to lure Hossam or instead, you know, who's, you know, would be double the price, but you'd get double the years, and it's a dream for FSG if that could happen. But yeah, the financial package just doesn't make sense for Liverpool.
Well, all I'm going to say is
from a business model.
All I'll say on it is, I think, you know, fair enough. If it from a business model, it doesn't work for them. It probably doesn't work because of other factors outside of the COVID thing. I think we're leaning way too much on the fact that Timo Werner didn't happen, and it's like, oh, we've no money. You know,
and that's all based on a tweet from Jan-Åge Fjørtoft.
Yeah, but don't be minding Jan-Åge fucking Fjørtoft. You know what I mean? Jan-Åge Fjørtoft was telling you 2 weeks ago that Timo Werner was signing for Liverpool.
Exactly, yeah.
Don't say
and
that,
then all of a sudden, he's not coming on this fucking show. And then all of a sudden, he was talking to a fella in who he knows heavily in Liverpool. Was he talking to this fella 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, and this fella not know the script that you don't, if you're into Liverpool, you don't talk about what's going on.
It's another journalistic horseshit. That's all it is. The same way when he agreed terms with Chelsea, they all fucking knew what was going on. They were all sitting beside Klopp while he was having the Zoom call. You know what I mean? Stop it. And look, as I said before, and I'm the first one to admit it, last season I said you strengthen from a position of strength, and we didn't, and look what we went and done, and look what we're doing this season. And people will go, oh, you're just going to say trust Klopp. I probably am, because that's what he's paid to do. And listen, if he gets it wrong, you're more entitled than absolutely hammer him. But I would wait till the transfer window ends before you assess what Liverpool are doing, and don't let it all hinge on one transfer that didn't go through, because we've seen it happen countless of times. We're at the spending the last hour and a half talking about transfers that didn't go through for one reason or another. Probably some of them to do with money. But listen, lads, we have to go.
One of the Premier League, because we were fucking brutal. We were forgetting the history.
Well, we would have won it.
Klopp hits it, gets it wrong, so be it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we would have won it if Lee Catamol had gone through there, I think. But
well, I think that's the one that got away, really.
Yeah, that is Lee Catamol is the one that got away. Listen, that is the end of the show. Everybody watching tonight, you've been absolutely outstanding with your comments. Unbelievable. I'm genuinely, it was brilliant. I was reading more of them than listening to the lads, and I'm not usually like that. I usually give them all my attention. But it's been brilliant. I will say it again. If you're on YouTube, please hit the like button before you leave. If you're on Periscope, share it onto your timelines or wherever you share it. But if you are on Periscope, you may miss 1 or 2 shows because it acts up. And that's why we're trying to do a bit on YouTube, which we don't usually do. YouTube is just another platform for us, but we found it to be the most reliable. So if you want to get on there and just literally subscribe, hit a bell icon, and when we're going live, you can choose where to watch it then, but you will get everything on YouTube going forward. We're going to do a little bit more with Hotmic over the next couple of weeks. We're working on something at the moment with that, and of course they'll all be available for download. Grizz, it's been excellent to see you on a Sunday night, and congratulations. I just wanted to say that before we leave.
Thank you very much. No problem.
If people want to know what that's about, you can ask them directly. I'm not gonna do that on the show. Keith, thanks a million. There's no congratulations
Pleasure
for you.
as always.
It's commiserations over Gabriel Heinze.
I know, but look, there's one that got away. Lee Cattermore, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Shane Long. We were linked with Shane Long. We didn't have him in between.
Yeah.
The headers, the flick-ons.
The flick-ons, yeah. Ronaldo winning flick-ons for Shane Long to chase. Yeah. That should be on a T-shirt. I don't give a shit what anyone says. But look, Danny Emery says, great lads, great show, lads. Listen, you've made it with all the comments.
Great comments tonight,
they were absolutely
very knowledgeable Fatback for Liverpool fan base.
Extremely good at what they do. They're the lads. David Lennon leading the Ultras through Periscope, though. We may need to get his address. That's been it. That's been the Fatback 4 podcast. Talk to you in a bit. Over and out.